I never thought I'd be the guy posting something like this, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I married this woman, Lisa, about a year ago. On paper, everything looked perfect. We met in college, hit it off instantly, and I thought we were unstoppable. She was beautiful, ambitious, and honestly seemed like she was the one. We planned a big wedding, and I was all in, ready to start this new chapter. At first, things were great. We'd go out, laugh, plan our future. But somewhere along the way, I started noticing little things that didn't sit right. Started noticing she was acting distant at times, giving quick, dismissive answers when I'd ask how her day was. She'd lie about small stuff, where she'd been, who she'd seen. I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just stressed or busy. I mean, I get it, life can be hectic. But then came the bigger signs. She started going out more without telling me where, always with her phone glued to her hand, hiding her screen when I'd walk into the room. She'd suddenly get weird about her phone, and if I asked who she was texting, she'd brush me off with a sharp attitude. "It's nobody, Jake. Just my sister. Stop being paranoid." I could tell she was lying, but I wanted to believe her. I even tried to be supportive, thinking maybe I was just overthinking things because of my own insecurities. Besides, I didn't want to accuse her without proof. But then, a couple of weeks ago, I started feeling like I was losing her. She became more bitchy, snapping at me for no reason, accusing me of being paranoid or jealous. It was like she was trying to push me away. I felt helpless because I didn't have any concrete evidence, just the gut feeling that something was wrong. I remember one night I was packing some stuff up in the closet to get ready for a business trip, and I found something that stopped me cold. It was a set of keys, small, sleek, and definitely not ours. I remember holding them in my hand, my heart pounding. At first, I thought maybe they were her sister's or some sort of spare key for a friend's place. But then I looked closer and I realized they weren't just any keys. They were condo keys. And not just any condo, but a place I'd never seen before. My stomach twisted because I knew these keys belonged to her and she had been hiding a secret. I felt like I was punched in the gut. I stared at those keys for a long time, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. This wasn't just a flirtation or some innocent side thing. This was betrayal of the worst kind. That night I stayed awake, turning over everything I knew about Lisa. Her lies, her sudden mood swings, the stress I'd been trying to overlook. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew that this wasn't going to be easy. My mind was racing, trying to prepare myself for whatever she might say. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but I also couldn't ignore what I'd found. That secret condo key was the smoking gun. It confirmed I wasn't just imagining things or losing my mind. Lisa was cheating on me, and she had been for a while. The worst part: she'd lied to my face about everything, probably laughed behind my back, and continued her affair while I was planning our future. Next, I decided I needed to confront her. I waited until she was supposed to be out with her friends, then I got into her purse. Don't judge me, I was desperate and found her phone. I already knew she'd be sneaky about hiding things, so I wanted to see if I could find something concrete. I scrolled through her messages, and that's when I saw it. A string of texts, explicit and dirty, between her and her best friend, Mark. They'd been sexting, sharing details about their sexcapades and making plans to meet up again. It was like a punch in the stomach. All this time I'd been trying to trust her, and she was out there lying, cheating, and sneaking behind my back with someone I thought was just a friend. I felt sick. The betrayal was so deep I almost couldn't breathe. I closed her phone, clutching it like it was my last hope of understanding. I didn't want to believe it, but every piece fit. Her attitude, her lies, the condo keys, the messages, they all painted a clear picture. I had to see her and get the truth from her face. That was the moment I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew that everything I thought I knew about my marriage was about to change forever. The next day, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I texted Lisa pretending everything was fine, asking if she wanted to grab dinner that night. She responded quickly, acting normal, which in hindsight was just part of her game. She agreed, said she'd be home around 7. I knew I had to prepare myself for what was coming, so I made sure I had everything ready: her phone, the keys, the messages. I wasn't going to let her spin her web of lies anymore. When she got home that evening, she was her usual bitchy self, snapping at me about minor things. My tone, my plans, how I was hovering too much. I played it cool, pretending like I didn't know what I'd found. We sat down for dinner and I kept my composure, baiting her with casual questions, trying to see if she'd slip up. But she was good, too good. She pushed her hair back, smirked a little when I asked about her day, and threw in some bullshit about work stress and how she'd been so busy lately you don't understand. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I looked her right in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I need to talk to you about something serious. I found something yesterday that I can't ignore anymore. It's about us, about you. And I want the truth, no more lies, no more bullshit." She froze up, her face flickering with that bitchy smirk turned into a nervous grimace. I could see her trying to spin it to deny, but I already knew the truth. She rolled her eyes, scoffing, and said, "Oh, come on, Jake, you're overreacting. It's nothing, just some stupid thing you saw. You're reading too much into it." But I kept my tone steady. "No, Lisa, it's not nothing. I found your condo keys and I saw your messages. You've been lying to me, haven't you? Tell me the truth. Are you cheating on me?" Her face went pale for a second, then she threw her head back with a bitter laugh. "Cheating? Please, you're just paranoid. Maybe you're the one who's been screwing around. Don't try to turn this around on me." Her words hit me like a slap. I felt my stomach knot up. I wanted to explode, but I kept my cool. I told her I knew about Mark, about the sexting, about everything, that I'd seen enough. That's when her mask cracked. She snapped at me, accusing me of invading her privacy, trying to control her. She called me a jealous idiot, said I was insecure, and blamed me for her own actions. Her voice got bitchy and shrill, and she told me I was crazy for thinking she'd cheat, that I was possessive and pathetic. I could see her trying to twist the narrative, make me feel like I was the one at fault, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I saw her for what she was, a lying, manipulative bitch who had been sleeping with my best friend just days before our wedding. The thing is, I felt a mix of rage, heartbreak, and disappointment all at once. I'd loved her, trusted her, built my whole life around her, and she'd thrown it away for some cheap sex and a lie. I never expected to find out like this, not like this. It was a punch to the guts, and I swear I wanted to smash something, but I kept my voice steady and told her I was done. Done with her lies, done with her cheating, done with pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. I told her she could pack her shit and leave if she wanted. I didn't want her in my house anymore. She looked at me, eyes flashing with anger, and said she was going to make me regret this, that I'd miss her someday. Yeah, right. That's what really made me realize just how much of a bitch she was, her arrogance, her narcissism. She thought she could lie her way out of it like I was some fool who'd never find out, but I wasn't stupid. I saw her for what she was, a liar, a cheater, and a bitch who thought she was above everything. That night, I packed her bags myself, feeling numb but also free for the first time in a long while. I didn't want to cry or beg, I just wanted her gone. Watching her walk out that door, I felt a strange mix of relief and crushing sadness. I knew I'd never trust her again, and that part of me was broken. But a bigger part was angry, so angry that I wanted to make her pay for what she'd done. I wanted her to feel how much she'd hurt me, how much I'd been played. As I watched her disappear down the street, I vowed I'd never let her tear me down like that again. I'd rebuild somehow. But right now, I just needed to get through this. I don't know what's next, but I do know I'll never be the same after this. And honestly, I wouldn't wish this kind of betrayal on anyone. It's a gut punch you never see coming, and it leaves scars you can't see. After she left, I just stood there in the silence of my apartment, trying to process what had just happened. It felt surreal, like I was walking around in a fog. My mind kept circling back to the moment I found those keys, the messages, the lies. It all made sense now. This wasn't some small mistake or a fleeting fling. It was a full-blown affair, and she had been lying right to my face for who knows how long. I knew I needed to get some perspective, so I sat down on the couch, took a deep breath, and started thinking about what I was feeling. Anger mostly. Rage that she could do this to me, to us. I loved her. I truly believed she loved me too. But now I see she was just using me, manipulating me, pretending to be the perfect wife to cover her own dirt. I felt betrayed at a level I'd never experienced before, and honestly, it hurt worse than I thought possible. As I sat there, I realized I had to do something. Ignoring it wouldn't make it go away. I grabbed her phone again, the one I secretly snatched, and started going through everything. I needed to see how deep this went. I found more texts, more sexting, more plans to meet up. She talked about how she couldn't wait to feel alive again with Mark, how she'd never felt this kind of thrill before. Reading those messages was like a punch to the chest. I'd never felt so stupid, so blindsided. All those times I thought she was distant because she was busy or stressed. Turns out she was hiding a whole different life. I decided I'd confront Mark eventually, but right now I just wanted to focus on Lisa. I needed to hear her explain herself, to see if she'd try to spin it, deny it, or just lie her way out. But even in my anger, I knew I had to be strategic. I wanted her to own up to everything, to see the face of the woman I married, my wife, the woman I loved, turning into something else entirely. I wasn't going to be a fool anymore. Later that night, I texted her one last time just to say I was done. I didn't want to fight, didn't want to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break down. I told her I knew everything, that I found her keys and her messages. I told her she could keep the condo, keep whatever she wanted, but I was done. That I never wanted to see her again. No explanations, no apologies, just a simple, cold goodbye. That moment, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. It was like I was finally free from the lie, but also ripped apart inside. It's crazy how quickly your world can turn upside down. All I kept thinking about was how she could be so cold, so manipulative, lying, cheating, and then trying to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy. I knew I'd have to face the fallout, deal with the pain, and rebuild my life from scratch. But for now, I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, feeling numb, trying to keep my emotions in check. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding headache and a mind full of questions. What do I do now? Do I try to salvage what's left? Or do I cut my losses and move on? The truth was, I didn't have an answer yet. All I knew was that I couldn't go back to the way things were. Trust was broken beyond repair. And the worst part, I'd never look at my marriage the same way again. That betrayal had shattered everything I thought was real. Over the next few days, I stayed quiet, giving myself time to process everything. It was like my brain was stuck in a loop, thinking about her, about Mark, about the condo keys, and all the lies she told. I couldn't sleep properly. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smirk, heard her voice denying everything. It ate at me, made me feel like I'd been played for a fool, and it stung more than I expected. I started questioning myself. How did I miss all the signs? Was I just blind? Did I want to believe she was perfect so badly that I ignored the warning bells? The truth is, I was devastated. Not just angry, but crushed. I had built my entire life around her, and now everything felt like it was crumbling. I kept thinking about all the little moments. Her dismissive attitude, her late-night sneaks, the way she'd brush me off when I asked about her day. All of it was a facade. In the midst of all this, I also started feeling a deep, gnawing sadness. I missed her, weirdly enough. Even after everything I found out, part of me still wanted to believe she loved me, wanted us to work out somehow. But deep down, I knew that trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. I kept asking myself if I should try to fix things or just cut her out completely. Every fiber of my being told me to walk away, to just sever the ties and move on. But the hurt was so raw, I kept second-guessing myself. One night, I decided I needed to see Mark. I wanted to hear his side, see if he was just as guilty as she was, or if there was some way I could hold him accountable. I found his number in the messages, an easy call, but I hesitated. Part of me wanted revenge, and part of me just wanted closure. I finally dialed, and it rang twice before he picked up. His voice was casual, almost amused, like he didn't think I was serious. When I told him I knew about everything, about the cheating, the sexting, the condo, I could hear the silence on the other end. Then he chuckled, a stupid, dismissive laugh. "Look, man, Lisa's a bitch. She's always been like that. Whatever you think you know, it's probably just a bunch of bullshit." That made my blood boil. I told him I wasn't interested in his excuses. I just wanted to know if he truly thought it was okay to sleep with another guy's wife just days before his wedding. He tried to brush it off, saying, "It's just sex, man," and that he didn't care if I was hurt because she was hot. That made me see everything more clearly. Mark wasn't some innocent guy caught up in a bad situation. He was just as much a piece of shit as she was. They were two peas in a pod, both lying, cheating, and playing with my life like it was some game. I hung up feeling even angrier but also more resolute. I knew I couldn't trust either of them. I also realized I had to focus on myself now, rebuild after this disaster. So I started making plans. I called a close friend, Mike, who's been through his own share of heartbreak, and told him everything. He listened patiently, didn't judge, just offered some tough love, telling me I deserved better than someone who would betray me like that. I decided I wouldn't try to save the marriage anymore. It was broken beyond repair. The woman I thought I knew was just a lie. That realization hit me hard, but it was also freeing in a way. I was finally done pretending. I told Lisa I was done for good, that I was filing for divorce, and I meant it. I didn't want any more fake apologies, any more lies. I wanted to start fresh, even if it hurt like hell. I also made sure to change my passwords, blocked her from all my social media, and cut off all contact. I needed space to heal. I knew I'd have to face the pain, the anger, and the shock, but I also knew I'd come out the other side stronger. Looking back, I realize what I learned from all this is that trust is fragile, and some betrayals cut so deep they leave scars you can't see. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I don't regret loving her, but I regret believing she was different. The biggest lesson: never ignore the warning signs, and don't let anyone make you feel like you're crazy for questioning your instincts. Nobody deserves to be played like a fool, especially not by someone they loved. The aftermath of everything hit me harder than I expected. The house felt empty without her, and every corner seemed to echo her lies. I kept replaying the moments in my mind, her sneaky behavior, the texts, the keys, and wondered how I had missed all the signs earlier. It was like waking up from a nightmare, only to realize it was my reality. For days, I wandered around in a daze, trying to piece together what had gone wrong and how I let it happen. I threw myself into work, trying to keep busy, but even that couldn't fully distract me from the ache in my chest. Friends tried to be supportive, but I was angry, angry at her for the betrayal, angry at Mark for being a lowlife, and angry at myself for trusting her so blindly. The worst part: I couldn't shake the feeling that I was somehow responsible. I kept asking myself if there was something I did, some sign I ignored, some way I could have saved it. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Some people just aren't meant for loyalty, and she proved she was. Eventually, I made a decision. I had to move on. It wasn't easy trusting again, feeling vulnerable, letting someone new into my life. I wasn't sure I was ready. But I knew staying stuck in this hurt wouldn't help me heal. So I started going out more, meeting new people, trying to reconnect with who I was. Before her, it wasn't about rushing into anything new. It was about reclaiming my life piece by piece. I also focused on my mental health, got some therapy, started journaling, and gave myself permission to feel all the pain, anger, and sadness. It was a long road, but I refused to let her betrayal define me. I knew I'd carry the scars, but I also knew they fade with time. The thing is, I realized I was better off without her, not just because she cheated, but because she showed her true colors. I deserved someone who would respect me, who wouldn't lie or cheat, and I'd find that someday. The hardest part was accepting that things would never go back to how they were. The trust was shattered, and I had no choice but to accept the broken pieces. I learned that sometimes love isn't enough, and that betrayal cuts so deep it leaves permanent wounds. But I also learned that I was resilient. No matter how much it hurt right now, I'd survive. I'd rebuild my confidence, my happiness, my future. It wouldn't be easy, but I knew I had to do it for me. Now I'm slowly starting to feel like myself again. I still get flashes of pain, still wonder how I missed the signs, but I also feel a flicker of hope. The lesson I keep telling myself is that sometimes the worst betrayals lead to the best rebirths. I don't regret loving her, but I regret trusting her blindly. Moving forward, I choose myself. I choose honesty, loyalty, and someone who truly cares. That's what I want now, and that's what I'll find. Looking back now, I realized that this entire experience has reshaped me in ways I never expected. At first, I was broken, angry, and hopeless, feeling like the trust I once had was completely shattered. But over time, I started to see that betrayal, as painful as it was, also revealed a lot about who I am and what I deserve. I learned that no matter how much someone hurts you, you have the power to rebuild. It's not easy, and some scars never fully fade, but you can move forward, stronger, wiser, and more aware. The biggest lesson I took away from all this is to listen to my instincts. I always had that little voice telling me something was off, but I ignored it, hoping things would get better. They didn't. When you start noticing red flags, whether it's her being distant, hiding her phone, or suddenly acting bitchy for no reason, don't dismiss them. Trust yourself. Because if I'd paid more attention, maybe I could have avoided all this pain. And honestly, I want anyone reading this who's going through something similar to know one thing. It's okay to feel devastated. It's okay to be angry, to cry, to feel like giving up. But don't let that feeling define you. You are stronger than your heartbreak. You can rebuild. You can find someone who will respect, love, and stay loyal to you. And most importantly, never settle for less than you deserve. Because after all the lies and betrayal, what I've learned is that true happiness begins with self-respect. So here I am, a little battered but better for it. I still have healing to do, but I've finally started to see a way out of the darkness. I've come to accept that some people aren't what they seem. Sometimes they're just pretending to be what you want. But that doesn't have to ruin your life. Instead, it can teach you to value yourself more, to set boundaries, and to never let anyone treat you like a fool again. And through all this, I hope anyone reading who's been betrayed understands that you're not alone. It hurts, but time does help. And one day you'll look back and see that even the worst betrayals can lead to a new beginning. It's not the end, it's just the start of a better story.